Before today's episode, I thought I'd just warn you that today we do get into some naughty territory. That means that we have some slightly more adult themes and some language. So if you're one of our younger listeners, this may not be advisable for you. And everyone else, you have been warned. It's a great episode and I know you're going to love it. Mark is incredibly funny. So let's get into today's episode.
No word of a lie, I bought a kid's trick, and I don't know who it was. So if anybody's listening and does know and remember a kid's trick with a toy beaver, in the back, and I don't know why I bought it. And, I just got it. And I was like, yeah, I don't know, all this kind of stuff. And then just right in the back of the book, it just said, this could also be used as an adult bit if you wanted. Wink, wink. And then left it as that. And I was in Manchester and I got the beaver out. And now you can actually, it's signed, but before it wasn't signed. But all the words and the gags and the bits and bobs just came working with it each night, and an audience member saying something in the background, and you go, that's that, brilliant, thanks very much. Oh, bit far. No, not going to do that. And it's all very carry on, matron kind of like gags all the way through there. And then there's another ones that you get in the carry on gags, and then you'll drop a little heavier one in there, and then they go, oh, but they laugh before they go, oh. So you got that Jimmy Carr moment in some respects. I laughed, but I shouldn't have laughed at that, but I laughed.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Desert Island Tricks. A few months ago, I had the opportunity to go to Bristol, and that is where today's guest resides. Now, specifically in a very, very nice venue made for performers and magicians and comedians and performers in general. Now, in the UK, we don't actually have a huge amount of performing places that are made specifically for magicians. So it was an absolute breath of fresh air to go to this place. Now, the place that I'm talking about is the Smoke and Mirrors Comedy and Magic Theatre Pub in Bristol. And if you haven't been there, I'm telling you from personal experience, it's such just not a lovely venue, but the people there are lovely as well. I had the chance to visit the Bristol Club, and everyone there was so inviting and welcoming. And Mark, who is today's guest, runs that pub. Now, if you've not come across Mark, you've listened to this podcast, you have actually come across him before, because one of his tricks, Get Smarty, is quite often mentioned in our podcast. And that's because Mark invents some of the most practical and commercial working magic that you are likely to see. And I really do mean that. I mean that there are so many performers around the world using Mark's effects and routines, and for good reason. Now, not only that, he is incredibly funny. I was just telling him that when we were editing the Blackpool 2025 vlogs, myself, Pete, Harry, were absolutely laughing at a bit with a ring, and again, I think it was Get Smarty. So if you want to see it, then check back in the Blackpool vlogs. It was so funny. He's a very funny man. He's also a very lovely man. He's always very giving with his time. He likes to help magicians, and he really has done that so much over the years. I know that this is going to be such an interesting episode because I know that he is a constant workhorse and he is constantly gigging and performing his tricks and routines. So I think that's a big enough hype for him, but it's very well deserved, and I'm very excited to welcome Mr. Mark Bennett. Hello, Mark.
Well, thank you very much, Jamie. You read that perfectly, exactly how I typed it. Honestly,
it was natural, right?
It was perfect. PayPal money's on the way, don't worry. Thanks,
but
pal.
It's very true. I absolutely loved your visiting your bar. I did love the bar as well, but I love visiting. Everyone was so lovely there. You were so inviting and welcoming. So any magicians, I urge you, if you lecture, please check out Bristol, because it's so worth your time. But tell us about the bar. So how did that come about?
I think I've probably told this a few times now, but it's when I had Illusions Magic Bar up on the Triangle in Bristol, about a 10-minute walk from Smoke and Mirrors. People used to phone up and say, well, how much is it to sit at the Magic Bar? And I was like, well, it doesn't cost anything. It's free. You can watch the magic, just buy a drink. And they were like, no, how much does it cost to sit at the front? And I was like, wait a minute, you'll pay to watch magic? So a little light bulb moment went up, and I just started looking for some venues in Bristol to see if we could find another venue that we could do maybe, some stand-up magic shows. And and then this pub that I originally looked at for Illusions, which wasn't available, came up again. And I picked that up in 2012, and then slowly, I'd never done it before. I'd been a bar magician and done like little bits of cabaret, but never much parlour, as I say. And we got better. and I think it was the person who opened it was John Archer. He opened it for me. And then just throughout the years, and 13 years on, well, we're 13 in October this year for Smoke and Mirrors. And lots and lots of TV comedians, TV magicians, and magicians have passed through the doors. And as you saw on the wall, all the photographs on the wall was everybody that has performed there. Even Colin MacLeod at that time, of the Clown MacLeod, performed there many, many years ago before he got his Vegas show, etc. But yeah, a lot of people pass through the doors, and it's a nice, humbling experience that they've graced the stage, which is great.
Well, what's really interesting is you're one of the creative magicians, in terms of creators, I should say, who I see regularly performing their tricks. You can tell that everything that you create is made for you. And I know a lot of creators say that, but they really are. Every single day you're out there in that bar performing these tricks and getting them down perfect. So when you come to creating one of your tricks, is it always for you first? And without giving any spoilers, are any of yours in your top 8 list?
Yeah, there are. Yeah, there's a few of mine in there. And the reason is because, and yes and no. Prime example that's on the list, and the one you mentioned earlier, it wasn't going to be in my show. And now it's because I've worked it for almost 3 years. It will never be taken out of my show. So because it is so well honed, and so many bits and bobs that I've added to it throughout the years and tweaked it and moved it. And anybody that does buy it, I normally put up the new bit I've done onto the Facebook page so people can see, and go, oh, great. Oh, there's a little added bit here, or there's a little bit added there. Because I just feel like, maybe that'll help. I know that a lot of people would use it for close-up. I don't really use it for close-up. It's more of a cabaret piece. So I had to learn close-up with it in some respects and get that in, and also try and take a stage piece to put it into a close-up piece. I was like, okay, right, okay, how am I going to do this? So I had to go back to close-up mind. But I haven't done close-up for years now. So I'm trying to get that head back on. But when you start doing, if you've done stage for so long and you start doing close-up, you kind of go, oh, this is great. And then you go, a bit tired now, actually. I like a 20-minute cabaret. That'll do me. So I do. I work it. I really do want to work it. Definitely.
Well, I think that comes across, but you've already given us too much information.
Sorry.
No more going forward. Now, if this is your first time listening, the idea is that we're about to maroon Mark on his very own, I'm sure, very whimsical island. When he's there, he's allowed to take 8 tricks, banish one thing, take 1 book and 1 non-magic item that he uses for magic. Particulars like who's there, what's there, are there animals, all of that good stuff, we do not mind. It's basically the list of items that Mark could not live without. With that being said, let's go to Mark's island and find out what he put in spot number 1. What did you put in position 1?
If anybody knows me, they've already about to say this word and they know what I'm putting in my first arsenal, first trick, and that is a double backer. This has bought me a pub, 2 pubs. 3 pubs. That's what, in some respects, it has. This is my go-to trick or bit that will give me. I'll give you a prime example of why this is so important to me. I could not start Bar Magic set without this, and I remember being in Manchester when we had Pure Magic Bar. And it was my turn to jump behind the bar and do a magic set. And I went behind the bar and I got a pack of cards up, and then I went checking my pockets, and I was like, and then one of the magicians just came along and just underneath the bar just slid the double backer underneath the thing, and I went, oh, right, I got 20 minutes, good, right, okay, I can go, I can start, and the reason that this came to, well, I started to perform this trick back in when I started in the early 90s, and there was a trick, and I can't remember what the trick's called, but I know the creator was Stephen Tucker, and he did this trick called Cards to Anywhere. It was this Cards to Anywhere routine. And if we all remember Stephen Tucker and how he used to make his props, they were just like, you don't buy props, you don't do this, you don't do that, you have to kind of make them. And back in the day in the 90s, bicycles were like £9 a deck, like they are nowadays, almost, really. And so it was Waddingtons I was using. And obviously Waddingtons didn't make gimmicks, so you had to make your own. And I would take 6 Waddingtons cards and stick them together. And they became very thick. But in some ways it was really easy to, you knew where they were for a start, let's put it that way. But he used to do this kind of routine, and I can't remember exactly what the routine was, but I ended up amalgamating Colour Monty into, without not the gimmicked cards or not the packet trick, but the style of the routine of behind the bar, of saying that they've seen the card before, and then you'll forget what the card is, and I used to just say that it was there's a drug in your drink, which in theory you shouldn't be putting drugs into a drink in some respects, but make you forget, you became susceptible and all of this kind of stuff. But it was that amalgamation of Colour Monty and then into this Cards to Anywhere in the pockets, and it would appear in the top pocket and be in this pocket, or I could ask 3 people to give me a card each, they'd all sign it, and then they would appear in every single pocket in different areas. And I did that for years. I think I kind of almost retired it when I opened up Smoke and Mirrors and I stopped doing close-up so much. But it's still, if I go out and somebody says, oh, can you do a card trick? Wait a minute. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. I can do a card trick, but I know I want to end with this. I do want to end with that. So yeah, that's in position number 1, double backer. So that's it.
So the devil's advocate is out. So I know that you briefly spoke about routines there, but if I was to reduce you down to one effect that you can use that gimmick for, what is the one routine that you would use?
It would just be card to pocket. It would be card to pocket. Yeah, because I could just keep doing it. It's an endless loop of like, it's going back, it's not, it's going back, it's not, it's going back, it's not. So it would be the full routine would be, I would love to, but if I had to only just do it, it would be signed card, gone, it's in my pocket, or it could be anywhere on my person. So yeah, it would be signed card to pocket almost.
So do you use it as an opener?
I do a very small, ambitious routine very quickly. And then once I got all 3 cards signed, then I go into one person gets Calamonte version, then somebody else gets a different version, then another person gets a different version. And then all those 3 cards are actually not in the deck anymore. One's in my left-hand pocket, one's in my right-hand pocket, and one's in my back pocket or in my top pocket here. And I just do a lovely visual just when I put it into this pocket, into my left-hand pocket, and I just do, as I push it in and they visually see it come in, I flick the card over on where the deck is in my right hand, and that card appears there. And when they see it go in, it goes, oh, and it's there. And it's this double take of this, what? And, and then there you are, there's your card, and you can just stroll off as you go. And that's the finale bit for it.
Great. Well, I think that's a great choice and leads us very nicely into number 2. So what is in your second spot?
Well, it's going to be Get Smarty, Ring to Impossible Location. And the reason this came to I thought, as creators, as magicians, you kind of like go, right, I'm going to get the Tarbell book out, can I have a little look? What's in there? Let's find something. And then you've realised that Stanky and Bill Abbott have already got them all. But there was a trick years ago I saw, and I used to perform it behind the bar quite a lot. And it was Mark Leverage's ring box. And what this was a cardboard lid, cardboard base, and cotton wool. And inside this little ring box, like a powder puff kind of box, it was about this big, about the size of a large sauce container, really, or something like this. But this cardboard like presentation box, and you would vanish the ring, and then when you would shake the ring box, they could hear it and they go, oh my god, all this kind of stuff. But as you opened it up, the ring was on top of the cotton wool, and you could show it empty first of all, and then when you shook it again, it would be on top, like it was a presentation box. And I thought to myself, and I used to do this all the time, and I thought, okay, I wonder if I could do that with Smarties. I don't know, I can't remember how big Smarties are. And so I went down to the local shop, and I was looking around, looking for the sweets, all this kind of stuff, and I was like, oh, Smarties. When did they become hexagonal? And I was really confused. I was like, when did they become hexagonal? What? And I was like, well, I'm not a good Nestle customer. I am now, but then, and they've been changed for over 15 years. They've been hexagonal for over 15 years. And I thought, well, I may not buy some chocolate, etc. Anyway. And I just went back to the office, and Get Smarty was born. Because I just thought, what could I do? And I just thought, wow, wait a minute. And then Bill Tube came to my mind. What can you do with that? Can we adapt it and did it that way? And that's the reason Get Smarty was born. And I love it, and where the routine is now, especially in my show for the end of the performance, there's so many ways it's going, and the laughter and the gags and all these bits and bobs to the finale of it's in there. There's not one possibility anybody could backtrack it to where it happened or when you did it or anything. And even if they did want to backtrack, they would go, oh, but that doesn't make any sense because there was something else. And yeah, so there's so many little journeys for this ring to go. And and so it's in my number 2, Get Smarty. Yeah, really happy with it.
Well, I've got a few things that I can say about this. So obviously this is one that I have in my working set in restaurants as well, which I spoke to you about before. But this often ends up in a top 8 list. So we've had it a decent amount of times over the first season. And I think the reason that your version stands out is because normally a version of this trick would require either some kind of tomfoolery before you get to your gig. So there is some extensive preparation, or even not extensive preparation, but preparation to said packet. And maybe things have to be, maybe scissors and glues are used, for example. Whereas with Get Smarty, it's literally a case of I can go to the supermarket next door to my restaurant, buy 4 tubes if I've forgotten to buy them from the wholesaler, set them up in, I don't know, seconds without the need of any cutting or gluing of anything, and I'm ready to go straight away. And I have a full 5-minute stand-up piece with a kid at the head of the table. They get to stand up, be the magician. It's full of funny moments. It's full of great moments that they make themselves sometimes, if we're entirely honest, by accident. And I think that's what makes yours stand out. I think it's so practical for a working performer, and the fact that it's close up and stage is the perfect thing for most performers, because everyone needs one of them tricks that you can have in your bag, and if someone says, can you do something for the whole table or for the whole group, you've got a stand-up piece. So I think that's what makes it stand out above most other versions of this trick.
I think it's the organic part of it as well, that, like exactly what you said, is that you could just go to your local shop next door and pick it up. Although I will say, in Hedge End, just in Southampton, the massive, large Sainsbury's there, and I mean, it's massive. Yeah, they don't sell them. So, which is a little bit annoying, because I went to lecture at Southampton, the AG, the Associated Wizards at AWS, and I thought, oh Christ, I haven't got any Smarties. Oh bugger, I left them in the office. So I'll be all right. And when I got there, and I was like, oh Christ, I'm hit a bit of traffic, and I got there and went, Sainsbury's, easy. Walked in, and I came back out, and I was just like, you're kidding me. What? And I said, and I was honest in the lecture. I did have to say to the guys, but not that Sainsbury's, but any other shop, you'll be fine. And it's one of those sweets that should be available everywhere. But I think it's with the organic side of it. I'll grab it, and it's that it is that sealedness of the cardboard, that it's completely sealed, that you don't have to use scissors and glue and reseal. And I think one of the biggest things, it does make me laugh when I'm talking to magicians about it, is they're saying, but I can use that again, right? And I'm like, what? The tube? And I'm like, no. They're like, oh, have I got to buy another one? And I went, yes. And they were like, oh, well, it's like 75p a go. And I'm like, yeah, that's what it is. I went, oh. So you definitely couldn't use it again? I went, no, it's you've destroyed it. You've destroyed the box. And they're like, oh, right, okay, yeah. I guess, but maybe it's not for you. Maybe it's not for you. It's not for you.
Well, like I said, that like even in terms of refills, I use it at my restaurant. I use it walk around, and when we think about a stand-up piece. There was a trick that came out a few days ago, funny enough, that I was talking to Harry about, and I think we worked out that the refill is about 79p for that. But for a 6-minute stand-up stage piece, 60p or 70p or 80p is nothing really for that amount of entertainment. Who really cares?
Obviously, I'm the same as you. I go to the wholesalers and I pick up I buy the ones where it says 75p on it, because they're cheaper than the unpriced ones. I make a gag out of it, etc. But and I get out of the box, I think what's in a box, 24. So 24 in a box for me, I only get 12 shows out of it, because I use 2 Smarties in my performance, 2 sets of Smarties in each performance. But like for a tenner, I get 12 performances, it's completely fine, And also as well, I bought shares in Nestle. So I thank you to everyone that has. Hey, well, you never know. The Smarties has gone up.
Smart business move. Very smart business move. I think one of the interesting things that I've learned from doing it at tables is the amount of packets you have to give out after. Because if they've got 2 kids and you do this trick to one of the kids and you give those Smarties to that one kid, the other kid then wants the Smarties, and I've had occasions where the other kid starts crying. So then I'm just giving out Smarties at that point, really. There's no trick.
Wait a minute. I got I don't know where my wife tied it up. You can buy little mini boxes of them, little snack boxes. And I have done that the wife said, well, that's not fair. I didn't get a pack. And I said, I've got here, all of that, and I just give her this little box. There you go, there's yours, and because there's like you can get like a big bag of like little mini ones, so that might be an idea instead of having to do the tubes. Just like, well, you have your one. There you go, that's it, done. But I love organic magic. If you know when you're performing and you have a niggle, and you think, well, if I've got the niggle, will the spectator have that niggle? And it kind of puts me off sometimes magic tricks when I have those things. And but this one with Get Smarty, I've got no niggle, and the magicians who question it are the ones who have a niggle. And you trying to say to them, well, I've done this thousands of times, and yes, maybe, but with anything, something may go wrong anyway. But you've got to move past it and just take it away. And yeah. So that's at number 2, Get Smarty. Thank you.
Well, it's a great choice, and I'm glad it's in your top 8. I would have been disappointed if it wasn't, in absolute honesty. But it takes us to number 3. So what is in your third spot?
So third spot is something that's only just come out of my show, and it probably will go back in, but it's been in my show since, I'm going to say 9 years, or maybe 8 years. May have, I don't know, but it's been in my show all the time. And that is Cue the Magic by Angelo Cabone. And it's brilliant. It is one of my favorite bits. When I do it, I make them the magician, but I use a wizard's hat tear. So if nobody ever gets it, if people can't buy wizard hat tears, it's because I've got them. Because I buy a lot of wizard hat tears, and so I have this whole full performance of that we do the wizard hat tear, we have a little bit of a gag, etc., and then they start to wear it, and then they perform Cue the Magic. And when I started doing this, and I've had a lot of guest magicians that have come to Smoke and Mirrors, and a lot of them have never seen it, or it's not there, they've never performed it, and I remember. I can't remember who it was. Matt Daniel Baker, that was it. Twice. And on the second time he went, I don't know. Honestly, it's so clean. I'm watching it and I'm like, I don't know how. Just like, he goes, I want to know, but I don't want to know. But it's brilliant. He goes, it's just so clean. And it's any card that can be selected through this process of using the words that are on it. I haven't changed it. I've just added little spins to it throughout the middles of it and the beginning and the endings. But it's perfect as it is. I don't need to change the wording. I think the wording's great. I will say, and I've done this a lot, is that Angelo put that you could even request the Joker. And I was like, this is brilliant. Look at that. There's 53 can be picked and it can be done. This is brilliant, fantastic. In the 9 years I've done it, and I would probably, on average, a month do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 shows, 7 shows a month. In those 9 years, only twice has someone said Joker. And the day that somebody said Joker to me, I had to break character. I was just like, I'm like, you have no idea how happy I am right now. And I'm just like, Yeah, yeah. Somebody said Joker. I'm not saying I didn't go that mad, but I was like, my whole body was just like, yes. Oh, this is going to be brilliant. But it's obviously I'm still going to get the same reaction anyway. But for me, it was just like, yes, yes, I've got it, I got it, I got it, I got it. And but yeah, I love it. I think it's brilliant. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, it's really expensive and everything," but it's worth every single penny. It is so good. Love it. And sometimes when a trick is quite expensive, other than technology, as in like it's expensive because it's well worked and it's a really good trick, and it's just like, no, I'm not going to give it to you for 50 quid or whatever, and it's expensive. The lesser people won't buy it. So less people perform it, or they buy it because they want it and they put it on their shelf and it will never get, or they'll use it once in a while. It's not part of their key bit, but it is part of my cabaret. So Cue the Magic it's A3 boards or A4 boards, and you basically get a spectator to read off the cue cards. So they have cue cards saying, "Hi, I'm X, Y, and Z. This is my name," and they fill all the gaps in, and they go all the way through these cue cards, and they're reading them off into the microphone, and then the spectator reads the words. Think of any playing card to another spectator, a complete stranger in the audience. So that spectator then says a card. You carry on with the script of turning these cue cards over so they can read them, and in the finale of it there's an envelope right at the end of the thing saying, "Look inside the envelope," and when you open up the envelope is the card that the spectator in the audience selected, and it's inside the envelope. And the magician or the spectator magician on stage gets the round of applause. It's kind of mentalism, but not for the magician. It's the mentalism given to the spectator. And so I'm not brilliant at mentalism. I'm not a mentalism kind of guy, but I have a bit of mentalism in my show. But making the spectator the mentalist is great. They're the ones who get the standing ovation. They're the one who did the trick, and yeah. So in some ways, it's a play on John Allen's silent treatment in some ways. So you've got the cards, but they're saying the words instead of not saying the words. So it's almost a play on silent treatment, but on bigger cue cards. I think Justin Willman's done it on a version of it on Ellen. A few other people, and they've changed the words around and made it a little bit more different. But I haven't changed it. I think it's good as it is. I've added my spin to it, but nothing else really. It's that's my boy. Cue the Magic.
I think when you mentioned the price of things, I think when you're thinking about stand-up and you're thinking of stage, so number one, stage performances you normally, or most performers will charge more for anyway. But a trick like that gives you what? 6 to 8 minutes of performance? That is the sort of trick that will take you around the world, and it fits in a small piece of luggage. Yeah,
it does. Yeah, it's flat packed already. It can be adapted. You can do. It gives you everything that if you want to adapt it to your own language and all that kind of stuff, you can do that. And you can change the wording if you want to, and you can change this. But yeah, when I first got it, it was just like, oh, crumbs. Okay, right. Okay. You're trying to do it as almost as, I think John Allen's the one on the video for it as well, who's doing it. And so you're in that realm of you're holding it like silent treatment, and then you're having to, oh, quite no, I can't. No, I've got to change that. It's got to be differently, and and you kind of like when you get it done, you're just like, oh wow. I miscall it on the last card myself. I miscall it. And then they're like, hey, whoa, like this. And I'm like, whoa, I've just stood here. It's his problem, not mine. But when that spectator takes out their card or takes out the card and they look at it and their face lights up, and you kind of look at them going, yeah, less subtle, to be a little bit more subtle. And they're like, oh my God, this is a look. And that they've got it right. They're like, yeah, And it just makes them feel really happy that, because they're like, oh no, we've cocked it up. It's not gone right. And then to that point of like, yeah, it has gone right. And they get the round of applause, which is nice. It's all about the spectator, not me. So.
Well, I think that's a great choice. And so far, we've gone from a card trick to a ring to impossible location to cue the magic, which is like a stand-up parlour piece. So let's see where you go with number 4. What's in your 4th spot?
So number 4th spot is it's kind of, it's a peak, but it's the way I generate the peak, or get the word out of the peak. So I use, when I'm on stage, I use my own, which is called blinds. And, but back in the day, I used to mainly use telethought. Yes, that was the one I mainly used all the time, was telethought. So I'll go off, because in theory, the routine that I use with this peak came from telethought. So not from blinds, it came from telethought. So I'll say, but what I'm going to take with me is, because I don't have to worry about this, because I can take a centre tear with me, so I can still do it. But I'm going to use the method that I use to generate this person's written down word or movie, etc. And it's called it's mind map. So the way I do this is off the cuff, and there's no other way you can do it. And this is why I love it, because I like to ad lib. I like to have fun with people. And what I do is that a spectator writes down, let's say, a movie. I see that movie without them knowing I'm seeing that movie. And then I get them to give me 3 random words that have got nothing to do with what they've written down. And then I get the audience from those 3 random words to give me another 2 random words off those 3 random words. So then I have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 words on the sheet of paper on a big board. And then I link them all to the word that they've written down. And it is so much fun. It is so much fun. And when you get to it, you already know that some of the people in the audience have already got it. You've got to be careful about not getting it too quickly. But when you get to the point of when some people start to like clock it, they go, oh, wow, 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 wow. And you know that they're starting to get it, and you write down what they've done on the back of the board of that sheet that you've just written. And then you ask the rest of the audience, what do you think he wrote down? And they say this, and you turn the board round. You've already written it as well. But then you hand out the sheet with all the words and the arrows and the meanings, and you hand it to them. And when they walk away, the rest of what you got to ascertain what the word was is all on that sheet of paper. And so that would be in my 4th position. So that would be blinds or telethought and mind map, my reasoning or my way of mind reading, but using a mind map.
Well, you're lucky that Devil's Advocate didn't have to come out there, because you gave me a routine. Can I ask though, and I apologise because I know a lot of your products, but I'm unaware of blinds. So what is, and I know telethought, but what is so different between blinds and telethought, and why is it those 2 specific products that you would have gone for? So
obviously you only you can see this. So that is the blinds, and if I should be able to do this, should work. That is what the spectator sees, and then when I turn it that way,
that's super clever. That's really, really clever.
So, but that's all that they see, and that's what I see.
Yep, that's really, really clever. So blinds is basically a way that you can have the peak in full view throughout.
Yeah, because I'll tell you why, Jamie, and that's why I like the telethought wallet, is that you can leave it. And I leave it on the stage there completely. And so I can keep looking at it if I want to, and then carry on with mind mapping the whole root of it, of getting to that word. And it is, and I know when I released this, a lot of magicians started doing it in their own way of just using mind map. But they thought it's really good for the brain as well when you're there, linking these, two random words, 2 or 3 random words to get to their word that they've written down, and you leaving them with that. They're like, that's amazing. That's genius. How did he do that?
And thank God that you put in the routine that you put in so that Devil's Advocate didn't have to come out. So that's a very, very good choice. So what did you put in your 5th spot? So
5th spot is sponge balls. Now, obviously, sponge balls is a lot of people say, well, that kind of stuff. Oh, I hate it, all that kind of thing. And obviously, being a nightclub magician and a bar magician, obviously, ding dong came along at some point. But sponge balls was the one I used a lot in the nightclubs, and then chasing around the floor in a sticky nightclub trying to pick them up again. But do you know what? My whole routine is only 3 sponge balls, because every time I bought a set of sponge balls, I always lost one. So I had to come up with a routine. I've never gone down to 2, but I've always lost the 4th one. The 4th one always disappeared, and I never had it. I was like, oh, I only got 3. What? So the whole routine had to come through as just a 3 version SpongeBob routine. There was not a 4th one coming along, and that's where 3 SpongeBob routine, because the way I used to do it, and the reason I love doing it, is I don't care how many times somebody's seen SpongeBobs, even a spectator, their brain will react. You will see their eyes light up. And you won't get the audible as you would of the first one, but their body and mannerisms will react, that other people will see that something's, and they will react as well, because it happens so quickly in the brain. Doesn't matter, because it's thrown it away. It's useless information. It doesn't need to keep these facts later. It's a bit like the classic of, the time on your watch, your brain removes it once you know what the time is. But that when they open their hand, and those balls appear and they don't fit. And the psychology in that is amazing. That when they open that hand, even though that you say they're sponge balls, they're, and everybody knows what they are, but when you open it up, the brain just goes, that doesn't fit. And you get that instant reaction, and you move on to the next part and you carry on. And then even when you do that last bit again, that doesn't fit. And that's what I love about it, because it doesn't know that the spectator will always react. Doesn't matter. They have to, because the brain won't let them say, oh, I've seen this before. No, the brain will react, and they will react. And that's why I'm going for sponge balls. Only 3, because I lost 1.
Well, I think that's another great choice. My question for you is, and I've asked this a couple of times, because obviously we get sponge balls quite a lot. So at this point, I think it's quite interesting if we find out how people are performing with sponge balls. So I also know that you do your parlour shows and that you are incredibly funny. So I can imagine that this for you for parlour and stage would be great. But have you gone there with it yet? Is it something that you do purely close up, or have you ventured to parlour with it?
No, I think the only person I know who's taken it to parlour, and it is brilliant, and that's Magic Sam Hurst. And I've seen his. And it was so, if I would do something like that, it would be very, very similar to what Sam does. If but it would be almost what he's doing, because it's brilliant. He makes that the kid is a superstar. For me, it was that I used to walk up to tables and go, "Did you drop this?" They're like, "What?" I goes, "Sorry, that's what the magic books say." Did you drop this colour paint? Did you drop this penknife? And it's only in my own head. It's just to get me into like, I'm going to have a little bit of fun here. Let's say, did you drop this? No? All right. Okay. That's weird. And well, hold on to that for me, and this kind of stuff. And you got the standard gags of obviously if you're going to move into ding dong and all that kind of stuff. But mine was just, it was a little bit of an icebreaker. I used to do it in restaurants, and then I didn't really do it much at restaurants. It was mainly walking around a nightclub doing it just to get those people just like, well, I don't understand what's going on. Because there was no way of, when I was in a nightclub, there was no patter for it. So, because you were just so loud. So it was just like, here, put this in your hand, put this one in your hand, or this and stuff. What? You know, and nothing. You're like, okay, see you later. Cheers, thanks very much. And this is, no. Come back. And it's a comeback trick. You know, show me more. I want to see more. Okay, we'll do another one on this kind of stuff. And I'd like you to hold on to this. And I used sponge balls in my, because it was in my bar set for years. And when I did the Magic Circle audition, I did my sponge ball routine with 3. And I did this little bit of almost exposing sponge balls of how it works, but I don't. But I think it's a clever way. What I do is when I hold 2 between my fingers, instead of squeezing them, they're out. And then I turn it, and when they look at it, I say, how many does it look like? And they go, 1. I go, yeah, I know, because, and then I turn my hand and show that there's 2, but they're really like, they're still big. And, but I've got 1 somewhere else. And then when I do that and I put it into the hand and it opens up and they go, and then they explode into the hand. And I remember saying in my audition, would you like to know how it's done? The lady who was helping me, this is the magic circle. No, you do not. No, I do not want to know how that's done. It's the magic circle. You don't give away secrets. And the reason I liked of like semi-exposing it but not exposing it was really quite nice, because you were kind of telling them what they think they know. Or they think, oh, yeah. They say, oh, yeah, I get it. So it looks like there's 1, but there's actually 2. But your hands are really far apart and they're just, just fitting between your fingers, and then 3 appearing in their hand. So, yeah, that's the reason I do sponge balls, because of the psychology of them always not remembering. So, yeah.
Well, I would say that's almost like a process for sponge balls, isn't it? It's no different than someone fibbing about how they are reading someone's mind. It's a fake method, essentially.
Yes. Yeah.
That they can latch onto and think that they're following along, and then, of course, you just pull the rug from underneath them. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that sounds great. I've never heard of that either.
Try
being
it, though.
used
Have
that
a look
way.
at it. Just ask somebody to look at it. And just say, look, they go, how many does it look like? And then they go, well, it looks like 1, but there's actually 2. Even before they go, well, there's definitely 2. Well, no, but look at it, dead straight on. And they go, oh, okay. And then you turn it and they go, oh, yeah, I get it now. So have a play with it, because it is quite fun. They think, oh, yeah, get it now. Yeah, you're a magician now. Well done.
Hello guys, I'm here to talk to you about Alakazam Unlimited. This is the best streaming platform in the world, I'm telling you now. With Alakazam Unlimited, you get access to over 150 magic routines. This is video performances and explanations. We have card magic, coin magic, kids magic, rope magic, mentalism, stage, parlor, impromptu. We've got you covered. All of this for the low price of just £4.99 a month, and you can cancel at any time. Perfect if you've got commitment issues. Yes, I'm talking to you. Guys, you are going to absolutely love it. If you haven't joined the platform already, what the heck are you doing? Alakazam Unlimited is a streaming platform that you need to be a part of. Not only that, there is also exclusive content only available on the platform. Check it out now, alakazam.co.uk. Cheers.
Well, that leads us to number 6. So what's in your 6th spot?
So it's another one of mine, and it is Leave It to Beaver. Leave It to Beaver. Now, I know Peter Nardi right now will go, do the performance. It won't work over radio. Doesn't work over, well, it kind of does. All the wording works over radio, but not the what it is. But Leave It to Beaver. for the people who can't see at the moment, I am holding a toy beaver. And this is a cuddly toy. And what you do is you end up having a sign card in Beaver. Yeah, so Leave It to Beaver is in my, what was that? What position were we in?
This is number 6.
Number six, yeah. Leave It to Beaver in number 6, yes. Leave It to Beaver.
So I think we should very slightly expand on this. Now, number 1, this is not simply a signed card to Beaver. This is a very funny signed card to Beaver, with the potential for lots of innuendo. Now, my first introduction to Mark was when Peter Nardi took me over to him and said, "Do the Beaver thing." And I must admit, I thought, what on earth is going on? What have you brought me over to? But it was so funny. It was so... I think
childish humour. Childish humour.
But it's done well. I think that's the difference. So this feels like a professional comedian has taken a magic trick and written a trick, written a comedy routine around that trick and that prop. And I think that's what's different about this. So I know that we can laugh about it and say, you know, this is a bit of a risque trick, and it is true. But if we were to really think about it from a professional standpoint, this is a very well constructed trick. It's very well thought through. The jokes are naughty, but they're very cleverly put together. It's not just relying on a picture or a thing. It's just very well constructed all the way through.
No word of a lie. I bought a kid's trick, and I don't know who it was. So if anybody's listening and does know and remember a kid's trick with a toy beaver, I was just trying to have a look if I could find the original beaver. And in the back, and I don't know why I bought it. And, you know, I just got it. And I was like, yeah, I don't know, like this kind of stuff. And then just right in the back of the book, it just said, this could also be used as an adult bit if you wanted. Wink, wink. And then left it as that. And I went, and I was in Manchester, and I got the beaver out. And when now you can actually, it's signed, but before it wasn't signed. The trick, it was just a duplicate in some respects. So it was just so you could just run through it, or you didn't have to do anything other than give a card to a spectator, and you know that's their card, and then next thing you know it's in the beaver. But all the words and the gags and the bits and bobs just came working with it each night, and an audience member saying something in the background, and you go, oh, that's that, brilliant, thanks very much. Oh, bit far, no, we're going to do that, you know. And it's all very carry on, you know, or matron kind of like gags all the way through there. And then there's another ones that you get in the carry on gags, and then you'll drop a little heavier one in there, and then they go, oh, but they laugh before they go, oh. So you got that Jimmy Carr moment in some respects. I laughed, but I shouldn't have laughed at that, but I laughed, you know. And I think we had a review back on TripAdvisor a while back. Not one of my tricks, but one of my magicians, Richard. Oh no, did she send an email? I don't think I said, I really wish she had put it up on TripAdvisor. I think she sent an email, and he'd done the balloon swallow. But what we had done within this routine, as I said to Richard, I goes, you need to, because of your story of what you're saying, you need to add this in, because it'll add the gag to it and it'll make it funny. And she complained that she laughed at it. I shouldn't have laughed at that. So I think the innuendo was a bit too far. And it was just like, well, no, that's the whole point of the joke. That's the whole point of it. And that's why Leave It to Beaver, there are loads of these little innuendos of the, you know, I can't open that zip. I can't, you know. You know, what am I supposed to do? You know, beavers work better when they're wet, etc. You know, we all know that, you know. And and I love it. I feel like a little child when I'm doing it, you know. And somebody has said, have you ever done that with a younger audience. Because you could do that with a younger audience, because there's nothing wrong with what I'm saying. Everything is right, you know, and it starts off with really cheesy gags and cheesy, and then you get the further on, and I use that I animate him and all that kind of stuff. And I feel like a little child having just like being naughty, but not being naughty, but performing a magic trick. So obviously the Beaver gags, this is sold very well in America. The Americans love this because obviously it's more their kind of like thing. And the only reason I wanted to do it was I wanted to get the line of "nice Beaver," and there's not that line, but because in theory, if they're old enough, the audience say it. So there's no way it's a bit pointless me putting in from a movie that's 30, 35, 40 years old now in some respects, that only a few people would get it. So I kind of like let the audience do that themselves, so that they drop the line in and you go, hey, good, brilliant, well done. And you go down that route that way. So it's pointless me putting it in, because some people just, there's a dead bit, you know, pause for laughter. You know, you're not going to get much unless somebody knows exactly what you mean. So yeah, so definitely leave it to Beaver too. And also I'll get a little teddy bear to sleep with. Oh,
well, that's a great choice and a nice funny one as well, which I was hoping we'd get a nice comedic effect. So that does bring us to the tail end of your 8. So what did you put in your 7th spot?
So 7th is really, really super proud of this. I don't know, could you call it, is it a dynasty? I don't know what it is, but it started off with the Queen, then it became the King, and then it became an outlaw, and now it's become a mythical king in some respects. But we'll start with, so this is my devil's advocate here. I'm doing the devil's advocate here. Which one do I keep, or can I just say a card on a round cylinder, on a disc, a card on a disc that can be put on anything, which I've done a lot.
Well, so do you know what? I'm going to be mean. I am going to be mean, because I know that people listening wouldn't want you to get away with this, all right? So there are some phenomenal versions of this, and they're so well produced, they're great. But if you're only allowed to take one version of this with you, which one would it be and why? And also, let us know what the routine is so that the guys know.
Okay, so I will say, so it started off with the Queen's nose. And this routine, again, this was a bar routine that I used to do with the 50 pence piece. So the routine was, I'd bring out a 50 pence piece and just say to the spectators, do you all remember the TV show called The Queen's Nose in the 90s? And a lot of people will nod their head. You know, it's a very short-lived TV thing, but back in those days, there wasn't much TV, and kids' TV was like you were glued to that television and you couldn't swap over because there was only ITV or BBC One, and that's it, all you had anyway. And this TV show called The Queen's Nose, where she would rub the Queen's nose to make a wish. And I would just do a little simple card trick that they took a card. I showed that it was an indifferent card, put the 50 pence piece on top of that card, rubbed the Queen's nose. They turned over the card, and the card had changed into their card. And they were like, oh my God, that's amazing. Because well, now we'll do it again. We put the 50p back down on top of the card that they've just seen. And I do the trick again. And then we rub the Queen's nose, and then they look at it again, and the card hasn't changed, but it's underneath the coin. And the card was underneath the 50 pence piece attached to the coin. And the reactions I got from this were phenomenal. And I remember talking to Matthew Wright about this, and he goes, that sounds really good. And we sat there at Blackpool trying to think, what could we do? How could we coin in on this in some respects? Come on, Jamie. Come on. It's all about the humour. It's all about the humour. And we came up with the Queen's nose because it was her golden jubilee, or whichever, diamond, I don't know which one it was, the big one. And we came up with that. And then sadly she passed away. So we thought, let's do a king one. And that's when in theory, the routine, I absolutely think it's amazing. I love the Queen's nose. A lot of people would say, yeah, but you couldn't see the coin you couldn't see the card very well. You had to really focus in. And I thought I quite liked that because they had to really focus in on that Queen's, the one old English penny to see that the card had, popped and changed. And the card was now on the coin and imprinted on it, like stamped onto it. And then when we came up with the King's Secret, the Noble 52, we upped the game of the quality. And I believe it's one of the, I think I hear from so many wedding magicians, is that's the trick that gets them at a wedding fair, the gig. They perform that and they're like, yeah, we're booking this guy. Because it's just, they do the routine exactly as I do. And they get it, they hit it, and they're just like, they can't believe it. And then the Americans kept saying, "Oh, where's our version? Where's our version?" So we came up with Billy the Kid version, which had a poster, its own deck of cards, its own version of a story of the bounty hunter, and the U.S. Marshals and everything. And then the Americans kind of had a go at us because our history was wrong, and we were like, "Well, it's working." And you're kind of like, it's a magic trick. It's just a little story. Enjoy yourselves. That's all you need to do. And then this year, Matthew and I, and it's not released as yet. We did show it at Blackpool, and that is the Noble One. The Noble One is a gold ring, something that King Arthur would have worn back in the day. When the reveal is on this ring with the presentation box, a beautiful gold inlaid pack of cards in a presentation box. It's a nice little full-blown story. So which one do I get? I've got to pick one. I think it's the one I spent the most time on. And I'm going to go for the Queen's nose because that was the birth. I would take the Queen's nose. Because it's the original bit that we did with the tin box, the old cards, the invite, the photograph, and everything of this, that you could easily have this little story for people to perform. So I would take the Queen's nose. Thank you, sir. Take the Queen's nose. But yeah, that's so through the generations, Queen's nose to stake. Thank you.
Yep, that's great. That's an excellent choice. The Queen's nose is great. And I think what's great about that one in particular, though, is the hook line of, do you remember the Queen's nose growing up? I think that's what's really lovely about that particular version. But it does lead us to number 8. So what did you put in your final spot?
So this is something that led on to, I used to perform Dippy Duck behind the Magic Bar. And again, similar to Leave It to Beaver, Dippy was quite a rude duck in some respects, so he would have a lot of fun. I remember being very drunk one night and trying to do a Sam the Bellhop, ad-libbed Sam the Bellhop with Dippy Duck one night. But when we thought, could we do that? Yeah, we probably could do that. That would take forever though, but we had a fun night doing that. But I used to perform Dippy Duck all the time. And every time we would get the audience to, when it would find the card, is get them all to shout, "How does he know?" So they would all shout because it was just, so they were like, "They don't know. How does she know? How does she know?" And I used to love it. It just have lots of little silly gags in there. The Williamson gag where he's got Rocky and he goes, "You know how this works?" All this kind of stuff. And then he throws Rocky behind him and, says, "Come on then, madam." I used to do that with Dippy. So you know how this works, right? And all this kind of stuff, and show how Dippy dipped and everything. And it was just like, well, and it was just having so much little silly fun with it. And then I wanted to upgrade him, and I came out with, and I bought one of these boys. So people might know who it is. That's it. Steve Spill's mind-reading goose. Now, I will say something here. When I have this is
people can't see that, but that's very funny.
What I just did there was something. I know we all went very quiet now. Everyone's going to go, what's happening? He left. When I bought Steve Spill's Mind Reading Goose, I was like, right, okay, what can I do with him? I put a soundboard in him because mine didn't come with the sound bits. Some people had the honk, some people didn't. And I bought this at exactly the same time as Tom Wright. So we bought it exactly the same time. He had one, I had one. And we would talk on the phone about what we're going to do. What's your gag? What's this? What's this? And he goes, well, I'm going to do this, do this. And I goes, well, I'm going to take it into the bar tonight and have a go. He goes, oh, that's not fair. That's not fair. You can just walk into a theatre and just keep testing your material. I went, buy yourself a theatre then, and just do what I do. So I did. And I put Steve Spill in and I kept doing little bits and bobs of the Mind Reading Goose. Mine's called Dave. I think Tom Wright's is called Bob. Mine's Dave, and he does a book test, and he does so that's the word that they all get, and then that's the word he gets in the end. And it was when I do reading number for him, when I do the mind reading number, I lent him over the pad so he would look. You just laughed completely, and that's the reaction you get. I just did a show at the Mill in Soneng with Dan Hudson, Mark Paul, and Scott Penrose. And I said to Mark Paul, I said, "Oh, you'll like my Mind Reading Goose, because I'm not a mentalist like yourself. He's phenomenal, Mark Paul." And he did turn around and he said that's the best. The lean is genius. And I sent it to Steve Spill, the video, and he said, I've never seen anybody do the lean. That's brilliant. Why didn't I not think of that in some respects? And I was just like yeah, because I've added a little bit, it's just, but I wanted Dave to be, he doesn't talk very much. He's not so animated as a lot of other people do. Steve Spill's Goose, mine's a little bit less animated. But he animates when he needs to make it funny. So if he was moving around a lot, that gag of the leaning, I don't think would hit so well if he was moving around a lot. And so he does a book test, and then he does a 2-digit number that he writes down, and that's about it really. He's a about 4, maybe 5 minute bit. That's it. There's a gag I've completely stolen from Not the 9 o'clock news. And the only reason is because although it's not word for word, not the 9 o'clock news, but it just fits perfectly. But you can't do it without swearing. The gag does not hit unless I swear. And I've tried it so many times.
What is the gag? I'll bleep you out.
Okay, so when I've got Dave and I'm holding him, this is Dave the Goose. We met in the local park. Obviously, I met him when he was wild. Oh, sorry, he said he was livid. Yeah. So, so that's my final trick that I'll take, and obviously I can eat him as well once it's done. So have him for dinner. You can lay some eggs first. It's Dave. Don't know, really. I'm not a vet. I don't have a clue, really. But there we go.
Well, my question is, so you've got a naughty mind reading goose and you've got a naughty beaver. Have the goose and beaver made magic together?
Oh, God. We're going to have to get Martin Duffy on that, aren't we? So he might be able to make that, won't he? Somewhere.
Right, so let's go back over your list. We started with a double backer, then we went to Get Smarty, Cue the Magic, Blind / Telethought Peak, Sponge Balls, only 3 because you always lose the 4th, Leave It to Beaver, The Queen's Nose, because I made you choose out of your 4 different versions. Mind reading goose, which means now we're on to the controversial item. This is your banishment, Mark. So, what are you going to banish from our industry?
Can I, when I'm burying something, if I'm burying something on this desert island and I'm like, you can hear this audible, there's something already in there, and I dig it up, can I keep it? You
can keep it. What have you dug up?
I found a vent mask. Down there. So, sorry, John, but we're all each to our own and this kind of thing. For me, I do have a vent mask in my routine. Mine's not on a cable, mine's remote controlled. And it is making the spectator, the magician, the part of the show. And in some respects, and where we are within my comedy club, it's normally either the stag or the big birthday person. I never, ever put a mask on a woman. There's just somebody, we've had a full hen do. They were mostly all of them in the audience, and they was, we're here for the vent. We've booked it for that. You're going to do the vent, and I said I'm not putting a mask on a woman. Then a man makes us speak. I'm really sorry, but it's just for the rest of you might find it's great, but for the rest of them, it's just like, and for me personally, that's just something I won't do. And but when you're having fun with the guys. They actually perform a magic trick as well. They actually do perform a magic trick on stage to another spectator while I'm not there. While I'm there, but I'm not there, and they perform the magic trick, and they get it right, and they get the biggest cheer. They get they get the laughs, they get the stuff, and and I think making them win at the end, even though you've had a little bit of fun with them, it's not massively, it's made them, yeah, they got the voice, they got the dancing, they got the. There's one bit I just love doing. Sorry, it's when I open up the case to show them what they're going to be wearing. Is I make a gag before that, and I don't know, it doesn't matter. So I say to them, have you ever seen the film Pulp Fiction? And they turn around and they go, oh, some people, yes or no. And I said, well, do you know at the end of the movie of Pulp Fiction, when they open up the trunk and they open up the case and they glow gold? And he goes, well, spoiler, if you haven't seen it, that's the end. But just think back earlier in the film when they bring out the gimp. And I bring out a gimp on a leather piece of string, like this, and the red ball. And I say, and that, now nobody can see what's inside the case. And everybody sees that, and then they see that, and they're like, what am I going to do? What's going on? And then I say, well, don't worry. There is a safe word. Don't worry about it. You say the safe word and we'll stop. Okay. It's really funny when they try and say the safe word, by the way. You'll hear it. It's funny. And you bring them here, and then I put what they think is I'm putting on the ball on their face. So to the spectator, they don't know still what's going to happen. And then I put the mask on, and then I get him to turn round. And then he starts talking and having fun and waving, etc. And then it moves on with the piece. So I've dug up vent mask, and I'm going to bury. Controversially, this might be a lot of people who say you can't do that, because no, I am going to do it. I'm going to bury any 4-card ace routines or any 4-card routine where you go through the pack, you pull out 4 cards, and then you put them back in the pack, and then you find them again in a different way. But you found them. They're there. You found them. Well, let's take out these 4 cards here. Let's find those 4 cards, take them out, close the pack. Now put them back anywhere you want. Let's find them again. But you found them. And I've been shown this trick so many times. Drunk people, sober people. Here, you want to see my 4S routine? Well, no, I don't. I really, really don't. I think all the work that you've put into it, all that work and everything, I admire that people will put that time and effort into it. But if that's the last time I ever see one, then yay.
So you were the first person to banish a card trick, which I think is very, very brave. But equally, you were the first person to start a fight with another magician who's banished something, which is equally as interesting. This is going to be a spin-off podcast, I think. Desert Island Magicians Rumble. We'll have to get you all to face off. Let's all be honest here. Is it because whenever you have 4 of something, you always lose one? So
yeah. I can never find that 4th one.
Okay, well, we'll give you that. All 4 card routines are now banished onto your island, and you have your vent mask back, which you'll be happy to hear. Now we are on to your 2 final items. So it's your book and your non-magic item. So what did you put in your book position?
Right, so there's honourable mentions on the just before I go to the book, there's honourable mentions on tricks. It was all screwed up, Doc Eason, with the nuts and bolts opener, because I performed that so many times behind the bar. I really, really loved it. And on the books, there is, this is my first ever magic book, by the way. This is before I even got into magic. This book here, it's called Hocus Pocus, and it was one of those magic sets, a bit like a Marvin's magic set, but it was it's got 60 tricks in it, but there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 languages this book is written. So you think this is a full magic book? No. That's where English starts, this far down. And then there's about 12 pages, and then it turns into a different language. And that's it. But this is when I was about 7 or 8. I got this, but then I grew up and didn't become a magician until I was in my 20s. It's, this was written in 1977, this book. And there's some great little magic tricks in there, some really cool ones. An honourable mention to this boy, The Royal Road to Card Magic. I know there's lots of controversy of some people, or no, you need to start with this one. But I think anybody that wants to start learning card tricks is get past the wording as much as possible of the flax and all this kind of thing. But I just felt this was such a well-written book that when you learned something, it gave you a treat at the end. I thought that was a beautiful way, not like, these are the tricks. It was learn this method and I will give you 2 tricks at the end that you can do with learning this bit. And I thought, brilliant. And it was so, and anybody, if you're listening to this and you're not a magician, you want to go do it, just go and get this, The Royal Road to Card Magic. But obviously, the reason that I'm here, and some people know who I am or I don't know who I am, but I wouldn't be here today talking to you, Jamie, or doing what I do in my life, met my wife or anything without this book here, Aspen Bar Magic, The Tower, Michael Amar's Magic Arts Journal. This is the reason I opened up a magic bar, because I was a magician at a time in the early 90s, and then I became a bar magician because I just thought I'll just do bar magic or just go behind a bar serving drinks because I knew how to serve drinks and make cocktails, etc. But I'll do magic as well and get paid more. So I'll get paid more by the hour. And I found this book and I just thought, what a great idea. And I ended up writing a business plan based around having a magic bar. And the passion I wrote in this business plan was somebody who saw it from the person who first helped me open up a magic bar in Manchester called Pure Magic Bar. He read the business plan and he said, I've never read a business plan with so much passion about something that nobody knows of. And there's only one person who can run it, and that's you. And if you want to, shall we open one? And I did. And I wouldn't be here today unless Mr. Amar hadn't have written that, to be honest. I wouldn't have done it. And it's got one of the best tricks ever, is that stuck on you. Right. It's a joke of just, so you got chewing gum, and you take the chewing gum and you just stick it on somebody. And then you're like, no, I still got it. No. And you just keep doing it. It's so childish. It's so funny. There might be more to it, to be honest, but I just do that. That's all I do. I just have a bit of chewing gum and just like, oh, I don't want this anymore. And you just put it on your mate's arm like that. And they're like, what are you doing? Like, nothing. I've still got it. I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, that's the book that I'm going to take with me, because I'll open up a magic bar, won't I? I know how to do it now, but, I'll open up.
Well, that's one that we've not had before, and I have just researched it. You can now get it as a PDF on library. So, and it's $8, which I think sounds like it's going to be an absolute bargain, or $8.95. So if anyone wants to track that one down, it is available still. So I will be purchasing that one and having a read through it. So thank you for costing me more money. What is in your item position?
Of course, I'm taking Smarties, aren't I? I've got food and also paper, so you can burn it and keep a fire going. So that's all good. So it's sustenance. You've got a magic trick. You've got Smarties for food, and also you've got paper to burn up to keep that fire burning all the way through the evening. I would like to mention that, as you already said at the beginning, that who was on the island, what is on the island, etc. So already on the island is my family anyway, so everyone's there. So that's why I was bringing Smarties. And also the kids would be happy as well, you see, so because they get some sweets. They only get 11 a time, 11 or 12 at a time, because the rest of them I need. Otherwise, it doesn't really work. If you know, you know.
That's what I said to Mark before the podcast started. The restaurants that I do get a Smartie at, the bar staff particularly like me, because they end up with a wine glass full of Smarties that they can just have a little take at throughout their shift. So they love me for that. But yep, I was hoping that you were going to take Smarties. So I think that's a valid thing to take. And you said that your family are already on there. We've not had someone curve the rules that way before, so we're presuming that they're already on there with you.
They're already on there. Yeah, they're already on there.
So, well, I mean, it's going to be nice that you've got an audience for your boxing match with John Archer. I think that's going to be that's going to be great. No, I think that's great, and it's a really, really great list. So we've gone from a double backer, get Smarty, cue the magic, Blinds, Teleport Peak, Sponge Balls, only 3 because you always lose one, Leave It to Beaver, the Queen's Nose, Mind Reading Goose. We have banished the 4-card routines, but we've also dug up the Vent Mask. Your book is the Tower Aspen Bar Magic, and your item that you're taking is Smarties. That is a superb list.
Thank you.
I think
I do love it. I love this podcast. It is really nice, and I think, and it's nice going back all the way through the other 52. I was just picking up people that, you'd think, oh, I don't know if I want to listen to that. Well, actually, no, I will do. I'm going to a little thing. Oh my God, there's some nuggets in there. So it's brilliant. So it's fantastic. So thanks for that, my friend.
Well, I think this, in terms of a list that's great for sort of comedy magician, stand-up parlour, I think there's some great routines there that would be great for walk around. But I think what's interesting about your list is I would say it's, other than the Mind Reading Goose, maybe, it's quite an interchangeable set. So this really is a set that could be taken to most venues and most different performance situations. And I think that this would hit all of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a kind of a modular person as it is anyway. So if I wanted to change something up, it could all be just swapped around and just moved in and just added into. But because of I've done these for so long, they're a staple that can just go in anywhere. They don't have to flow. It's just like, right, you can just slot it in anywhere you want. So that's the good bit.
Well, if anyone wants to find out more about you, Mark, or the bar, how they can visit, see shows, all of that good stuff, where can they go to?
So the bar is smokeandmirrorsbar.com. That's where you can book tickets to come and see a show where we do Thursday, Friday and Saturday. But the bar is open Mondays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays. Mondays are stand-up comedy. If you want some material, as in magic, is mbmagic.co.uk. And for me, it's Mark Bennett Magician, but I don't really use my website at all, but I'm also Mark Bennett on Facebook, so I've got loads of spaces left for friends. I was back in the day when I was like, I'm doing a cull. So I got rid of people years ago, and then I was like, I don't have any friends now. So yeah, I've got loads of space. So everybody wants to friend me up. Make sure you got more than 2 friends, because otherwise I'll think you're spamming. So there we go.
And you're always at conventions as well. And I think just a personal thing from me, being at your stands and seeing you work for, I don't know, maybe the past 5-6 years at conventions, you are one of the funniest demos that anyone will see. If you want to be entertained by incredible magic, but just be entertained by a very good performer, then do go check out Mark's stuff and Mark's stand in particular, because it's just full of gems and it's so funny. Do go watch the I think we've probably got several performances from you now over the years on our vlogs and stuff. So yeah, do go check them out. They're very, very funny. But my last thing is to say thank you, Mark, for putting this list together, and thank you for giving us your time. And hopefully we'll be back next week. Well, we will be back next week with another episode. Now, don't forget, we do have Stranded with a Stranger. So if you want your list of 8 tricks, 1 banishment, 1 book, and 1 non-magic item to be read out, please send it into sales@alakazam.co.uk. In the subject line, put my Desert Island list. That way it comes through to me, and we can get one of these recorded for you. Don't forget to put in a little bio, tell us about yourselves, and of course, put in your reason for the tricks. So with that being said, we will see you next week with another episode of Desert Island Tricks. Goodbye.
When I perform at gigs, I look at effects that tick these 3 boxes. Is it super strong and powerful? Yes. Will it last with your spectators for a lifetime? Absolutely. And does it leave them with a souvenir that perfectly captures the moment of magic? If that all sounds exactly what you're after, look no further than the liquid forks. These forks have been custom designed to be able to bend right in front of your spectators' eyes. It's so easy to perform, it's so visual, and trust me, they will honestly keep this impossible object because they've seen it morph in front of their eyes. It literally does the impossible. Not only that, Liquid Forks comes with 50 of these forks in each pack, and it comes with the full Liquid Forks routine taught by the world famous David Penn. Not only that, we have a subscription service. If you guys love these forks and you get through them at your gigs, we now offer a monthly subscription where you get sent a box through every single month at a 10% reduced fee. Like I said, you guys are going to be loving these. You're going to be performing them every chance you can. Trust me, the reactions are second to none. So guys, head over to alakazam.co.uk, pick up a set of liquid forks. You will not regret it. Easy to do. Leaves them with a killer souvenir. And to be honest with you, it's not cards, it's not coins, it's not mentalism. It's something beyond belief. Check it out now, guys, the liquid forks.